welcome back to EyedolizeMakeup tutorial channel. So today I'm not actually doing a tutorial for you. Today I actually want to speak to you about something that is extremely close to my heart, and I have to be honest with you, this is extremely difficult for me to film this video, but I am filming it in the hopes that I might be able to help even just one person. Why am I filming this dressed as a zombie? This is still a topic that is really difficult for me to speak about, and I kind of felt that if I had some kind of mask on it might be a little bit easier for me. And since I'm a makeup artist, I figured I would be able to do something that I would feel comfortable, I don't want to say hiding behind, but just feel more comfortable, like I'm kind of in character talking about this. Okay, are you okay? These 3 words have saved my life twice. So about a year and a half ago, sorry if I'm looking down, it's because I've written notes. If I don't write notes, I tend to ramble, so I just wanted to write down some bullet points for myself and just make sure that I get the message across that I want to get across without going off on some crazy tangent. So just over a year ago, I was going through an extremely difficult time. I don't want to go into details about what was happening, but I just want to say that pretty much it was nearly impossible for me to get myself out of bed each day. Every single little thing that I did felt like a chore. It felt like the hardest thing in the world to do, even eating. And if you know me, you know I love food, so it was pretty bad. I would have to force myself to get out of bed every morning, and I should actually say afternoon because it would take me that long to get out of bed. And then when I did get out of bed, I would spend the whole day wondering why I was even bothering and why I was here, and I was constantly wondering if I would ever feel better. So I would have panic attacks nearly every single day, and while my family and friends knew that I wasn't myself, I feel like no one, not one single person, really knew how bad it really was. So I started planning my way out. Basically what I thought was an escape from all this pain that I was feeling every single day. And after about a week of arguing with myself about whether everything would get better, I decided that it wouldn't. So on the night that I decided just to end everything, I sent a message to a friend, and this was a friend who had been a really good friend for a long time to me. We'd been super close as teenagers, and then as the years went on we kind of drifted apart a little bit, but we were still friends, we just didn't talk as much and we weren't as close. So I sent him a message and all I said was, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I didn't really know at the time, but this was my message or my cry for help. So I just happened to be lucky enough that I'd messaged this to someone who knew me and knew how to see signs in me when something wasn't right. So he replied, "Sorry, I'm at uni," which is college if you're from America. And he said, "Sorry, I'm at uni, what's up?" And so I realized he was busy and I genuinely didn't want to bother him with my problems at the time. So I replied back to his message, "Never mind, all good." And that was it. Now in that moment I had tears streaming down my face. I felt like I was suffocating and I was honestly just ready to be relieved from all this pain that I was feeling. And then my phone rang. And so I was desperately trying to get that shakiness out of my voice, you know, that you get when you're crying your eyes out. So I was trying to just hold my voice straight, and I picked up the phone and I said hello. And it was my friend on the other end of the line, and he said, "Bridge, are you okay?" Still makes me cry when I think about it now. And it took me a minute because as soon as he said, "Are you okay?" I just burst into tears, and I was still silent. I wasn't crying out loud, I was just silently crying, but very heavily crying. And so it was quiet for I felt like a couple of minutes. It was probably only a few seconds, but it was quiet. And he didn't say anything, I didn't say anything, and then I finally composed myself together and was able to just say, "No, I'm not really, but I will be." His response to that was, "Do you want to tell me what's going on?" And I said no, because I genuinely didn't. I actually felt like that time in my life I was burdening everyone with my problems, and I didn't want to continue doing that, and I felt like I was just hurting everyone else or dragging them all down with me, and I didn't want them to be upset as well or know how bad I was. I felt embarrassed that I was that low and I just genuinely didn't want to speak to someone I knew about because I felt like an idiot. So I just said, no, I don't want to tell you about it. And he stayed on the phone to me for a while, and we just spoke about just not even anything really. We just talked. And at the end of the conversation, he said, if you need to call me anytime, day or night, call me, but I think you should go and see someone professional. And he was right, so I did. A couple of days later, I went and saw a counsellor, and when I saw the counsellor, he actually said to me, I have been counselling for over 20 years and I've never felt this much grief in this room. So that was when it kind of really hit home for me as well, and I realised that it was so bad, how much pain I was feeling and how sad I was all the time. And so he said to me, you know, what do you want to do? And it was really hard for me to answer that question because I didn't want to do anything. I just didn't even want to be here. And he kind of said, you know, what have you thought about doing in the past? And he meant with life. And we ended up discussing how I'd wanted to move to Canada, and I wasn't able to move to Canada because my visa had been declined, this was all happening as well while all of this other stuff was going on. So it was just everything was piling on top of each other. And basically at the end of the session, after an hour with him, we came to the conclusion that I needed to travel. He said it would just be the best thing for me to do. So I took his advice. I went home that day and booked a one-way ticket around the world, and over the next month, I'd booked the ticket for a month from that date, and over that month I just sold everything I owned. Just sold absolutely everything so that I had money to travel. And then a month later I jumped on a plane and headed off around the world, and I spent 12 months traveling through New Zealand, Canada, America, the UK, Europe and Japan, and I met the most incredible people. I had the most incredible, amazing experiences, and I truly did find that I was able to be so happy again. And that was just something I never ever thought I would ever feel again, was happiness. So I'm not saying that everything came easily. About 4 months into my trip, I was in London in the UK, and I had a falling out with a friend. So I only knew 2 people in London and I was staying with them. And I had a falling out with one of them, and basically they said that I had to leave the house, and I didn't know anyone else, so I had nowhere to go. And basically I just went straight back into that mode that I had been 4 months earlier in Australia, and felt like once again there was no way out. I had nowhere to go. It just brought back all those emotions. So that was the second time that I'd felt like I wanted a way out. And while I was in the UK, I ended up finding somewhere to stay for a week, and that week was like the hardest, or the second hardest week of my life after the first time. And my cousin was back in Australia, and she's studying psychology, and she was messaging me, and she just happened to notice through our messaging that I wasn't right. So she once again asked, "Are you okay?" And I'm not going to go into details about that, but that was the second time that those 3 words have saved my life. So that second time that I'm talking about was a year ago, almost to the day that I'm filming this video. And since then, I haven't had another episode like that. I haven't been that down again at all. I've actually had one of the best years of my life. Don't get me wrong, I still have days where I have panic attacks. I still get anxiety quite bad, but I've learned to control my emotions so much better. And I've also learned how to live a life that I'm happy in. So those 2 people may still not know to this day, but I see them as 2 people that truly did save my life and give me a life that I'm so happy to be living. And it was all from that, and it was all from those 3 words and that one question that they asked. And that's why this video is all to bring attention to a cause which was started by a man named Gavin Larkin. And he started the Are You OK Foundation after his father committed suicide. Now, Gavin Larkin actually died a couple of years ago from cancer, but he started this incredible foundation which is basically made to bring awareness to the fact that sometimes people with depression and anxiety need you to reach out to them. And Are You OK Foundation basically teaches you how to go about it and how to make sure that you're approaching them the right way, or even just the signs to look out for. If you know a family member or a friend is going through a hard time and you notice that they're acting differently, it tells you what to look out for and how to approach them about if they're doing okay. So I'm going to leave the link for Are You OK down in the description box below. If you are going through a hard time yourself, there are some phone numbers there that you can call, and I cannot recommend enough to call those numbers if you're going through a hard time. I know that for myself, I felt like an idiot even thinking about calling these numbers. You just feel like, why should I have to call these? Like, I'm so weak. But you really are not weak if you have the bravery to pick up the phone and call someone and ask for help. That's the strongest thing you can do. So Are You OK is an Australian organisation, so I think the numbers in there are Australian numbers only. So if you're from another country and you're having a hard time, please look up the phone numbers. There is definitely always someone you can speak to. And I just beg you, if you're feeling down, reach out to someone. I can't tell you how to make yourself happy, but for me it was traveling. For you it might be something completely different. But you need to find something that makes you happy and do it. It's so horrible because you just feel like absolutely no one gets what's going on, but I promise you there are people who understand. And the people on these phone numbers that I'm leaving in the description box down below, or the people that you look up, if you're in a different country and you look up a phone number for, you know, a children's hotline or depression hotline or anxiety hotline, those people do not think you're stupid when you phone them. They are there and they are trained to help you. So I just beg you to call those numbers. So if you've been a subscriber of mine for a while, then you might not have known these things about me. And that could be because I am so bubbly and happy on camera, which I am in real life as well. But the thing is that the people who are bubbly and most happy sometimes are the saddest on the inside, and that's because they know what it feels like to be sad and they don't want anyone else to have to go through that. So I know that for myself. I go out of my way to make other people happy because I never want them to feel the things that I've had to feel. So it's just a good idea to keep an eye out for signs if you know someone's going through a hard time, and just, you know, make sure that they're okay. Okay, so now I'm starting to ramble a little bit. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about with today's video, and this week is actually the annual day of Are You OK Day. So I just want to ask you, if you know someone who is going through a hard time and maybe isn't acting like themselves, go and check out the website for Are You OK and have a look at maybe how to approach them just to check that they're doing all right. And there's people who are really inspiring to me, who just meeting them in person, I would never have any clue that they have anxiety or depression or any of those things. And those people are Manny, makeup artist. I watch his YouTube videos all the time and I wouldn't have any clue that he has anxiety attacks, but then you see him on Snapchat and he talks about it. And another one is Jessie from Nailed It NZ, who is a good friend of mine. She has been for a few years. And she actually lost a YouTube friend of hers a couple of weeks ago to suicide, and it's just so sad that you know these people are so happy and so bubbly on the outside, and sometimes you just wouldn't have a clue some of the pain that they're going through on the inside unless you ask. So, whew, that was hard. So thank you for watching, and thank you for taking the time to listen to my story. I didn't want to go into too much detail about my story, so I'm sorry if I rambled a little bit, but basically I just really want to bring attention to this cause because it really means so much to me. And you never know, just noticing the signs and knowing how to approach it could save a life. So definitely check out the Are You OK website. As I said, if you're having a hard time, find out the numbers to call, and don't ever feel like an idiot for needing help. I love you all so much, and I will see you when I do my next tutorial. Bye, Eyedolisers.